Hey everyone, it's Tracy coming to you from YouTube. We actually don't normally meet in this format, but it is really important for me to grow this platform. I have been posting on Instagram, Facebook since 2013, and most of my Ponte Vivi work is actually through this platform, but I do it through an unlisted link. So this is actually kind of a surprise pop-up sharing of messages. And just to kind of give you a heads up that I am actually going to be using this platform more. So please subscribe, like this video if you like this content. But I was actually guided to bring three messages in. Today is Tuesday, February 13th, and one day before Valentine's Day. It's actually one of my favorite days of the year, tomorrow. I know everybody's like, oh, it's just a made up holiday. And I just absolutely love that we are celebrating love in whatever capacity. It's not just romantic love. It's love for your kids, love for your pets, love for your friends. So, happy Valentine's Day if you're watching this on February 14th. So, settle in. I've got three messages for you. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a tickle in my throat. So, yesterday I was having a conversation with my team, and it was really interesting because what we were kind of talking about is how many people on the planet right now actually don't have karma. So they actually came in with very little karma, if any at all. And my mind, as we were kind of having this back and forth, was like, why would you come to this planet if you didn't really have to? And I know that sounds terrible, but that's coming from this perspective of like how crazy the world is right now. So, um, and what their response was really interesting, and that's why I wanted to share it with you. And they said it's kind of like if you were Michael Jordan and you knew that you had these amazing skills at basketball, and you were watching this game, maybe even like a middle school game, and you knew that they were up against all odds. And there was just a part of you that knew that if you could jump into that game with your skills and experience and wisdom, you knew that it would be a successful venture. So that's one of the reasons why so many people decided to incarnate at this time. And we've talked about this before, that really only the best of the best were able to get the golden ticket to come into the earth game at this time of immense the shift of ages. And we're actually going to experience just tremendous positive change right before our very eyes. So that too was very important for us to choose to incarnate at this time. But I just thought it was kind of a neat analogy because I just could see those of us who are way showers, which if you're watching this, you are, and just kind of sitting on the sidelines and being like, I have got to get in there because I know I can make a difference. And that's why you're here. So just know that just you having feet on the ground is mission in and of itself, and then anything else you choose to do is super important. So but you really wanted to come in. You looked at this game as one that you could definitely win, and that's why you're here. So I thought it was kind of a neat analogy. um, the other conversation that I was having with them, and they wanted me to share this because we are constantly being reminded of the mirror that exists all around us. So, um, I was kind of reflecting on how 2024, like, we are just out of the gate. It's just crazy. Like, basically, Jan 1, we were all like kind of horses coming out of the gates. So, normally, we have January and February, which are just kind of slow, and it almost feels like we have this time to ramp up. So, we get a sense of what this year feels like. And this year was completely different. It was like January 1 hit, first week of January, and it was, game on, Mach speed. So I was reflecting on that, and they pointed out that the weather is actually really reflecting back to us the truth of the energy right now. So, um, I'm in Colorado, and we have had hands down the mildest winter that we have ever had. I've been here since 2002, and it has been like 50s. I'm on the Front Range, so 50 degrees and sunny, which is absolutely not anything like any other January or February that we had. And I know that other areas of the country are really mild as well. So, what they were showing me is that typically January and February is like frozen lockdown. It's cold, nobody feels like doing anything. You're kind of holed up in your house because you just everything is kind of frozen over, metaphorically. And that this year was very different because it's almost as if, like, spring, the true new year that has normally been, like, right around the equinox in March, actually happened in January. So, it is reflecting back to us that it is go time. Like, there is no need to kind of hang out, be holed up in your house at this point. It is time to get out there. The seeds have already been planted. Seeds have been planted for weeks, months, and sometimes even years for some of us. So we are being given such an amazing gift to really have the universe supporting us right now at a time that normally is very slow and ramping up to the equinox. It is that time right now. So if you're being prompted to kind of be in an action mode that you're normally not used to until a little bit later in winter and certainly spring, go with it because you are actually being completely supported energetically. And the third message is just kind of about, I guess, social media in general. So it's interesting that, posting on YouTube is something that people have been doing for a very long time. But I'm sure that you've heard that TikTok is kind of the big platform right now. And I want to share my story with finally launching on TikTok. I have been on Facebook like very, very, very consistently since 2013, Instagram soon after that. And I just have not been drawn to TikTok, probably because, I've had so much else going on in my life, being a single parent of 3 kids, and I finally launched. It happened just a couple of weeks ago, and it was such a different feeling, like, um Facebook always kind of felt manageable to me, like, "Oh, it's family and friends and people who are like-minded, so they'll find me." And when I put my first video out on TikTok, I just kind of felt like, "Oh my gosh, this is the entire world." But what I found that is so neat about it, I've been on the platform just as a user for several years, have to be with 3 teenagers, but when I first started in, 2013, 14, Facebook and Instagram were kind of the epitome at that time of, kind of the facade. So, um, lots of people kind of, I don't wanna say pretending to be something different than who they really were, but everything was all about appearance, and, that's nothing new. We've talked about how behind the scenes, behind the filters and the facade that it's not necessarily who those people really are, whether it's personal or professional. But um, since I have been on the TikTok platform, I have been so impressed with just people being totally authentic. Like, you would never have seen on Instagram or Facebook 10 years ago, someone posting without makeup or without their hair done or sitting in their bed, just kind of sharing something. And so I really feel like it is such an indication of authenticity finally coming to the forefront and the importance of being authentic. Being the people who we truly are and allowing the world to see that, being vulnerable. I had a lengthy conversation with my son who's been on the platform for many, many years, really since the beginning with his music, and, he just said, "Hey, mom, like, it's all about, like, be vulnerable, let people connect to you in that way." And so the difference between my social media experience over the last decade and now kind of jumping into this new platform is really night and day, and it helps me, and now sharing this message, just realizing that this is what is really important, is people understanding that we're all just people and we all have something to say, we all have something to give, and that platform just allows you to do it. There's some zingers. You can definitely, I kind of likened it to the Wild Wild West where like kind of anything goes. So you'll get the off-color comment, but for the most part, people are just legitimately looking for other people who can share information and have an open heart and be vulnerable. So, that's more of what we have coming in this world. That's tremendous progress, and the transparency that will come as a result of being authentic. We're already seeing that play out on the world stage. So it's a very exciting time. This is how we are going to see the positive change that we all know is here and now. We're just so ready to see it being played out in our own lives as well as the world stage, and that's where we're at. So, kind of final segue to that. If you have any inclination whatsoever to jump on the TikTok platform, YouTube, if you're not already on Facebook or Instagram, kind of sharing your information, please do. We all have a gift. And what was brought in was just how important, even if you only have 5 people who look at it, it doesn't matter. If we all just light our candles in our own little corner of the world, they are all going to come together and create one big light. And the other way that you can look at it is that regardless of whether you have a huge following, don't want a huge following, it's just putting this vibration and this frequency out into the world so that it's just out there. And again, we are filling this space with light regardless of how we do it, but we all have so much information to share with one another. So please follow through. This is a brand new year. And if friends and family can support you in that, wonderful. If not, it's okay too. But everyone needs to just kind of step out of the shadows. And I'm sharing that from my perspective. It's been wonderful, a wonderful cocoon for me over the last decade to do a lot of writing from my keyboard, but the actual videos have not necessarily been something that I've gravitated towards. And my team kind of kicked me out of stage left and said, "You've got to do this." And they gave me that analogy of just get it out there, get it out into the radio waves, the internet, the all of the portals that we're not necessarily able to see this information out there and just kind of sitting, because it is bringing light to the planet, and all of our lights will combine to make this critical shift. So, my dogs are already barking. So, I'm going to say goodbye. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I would again love it if you um, subscribe to this channel and check me out on TikTok if you are on that platform. I am the Awakening Guide there as well. You can check out my website, which is tracymix.com. And we will be having the monthly Ponte Vivi meditation on February 22nd. So it's going to be 222. And my information coming in for 2024 for the Ponte Vivi meditations is that the energy is so fast right now that those gatherings are going to serve the purpose of kind of steadying the energy. So if you can kind of see that there's going to be some big waves, it doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. It's just we've got huge energy coming in, and that practice is going to kind of help us just kind of steady everything and be the calm within the storm. So if you're drawn to that, you can find that on my website as well. Just watch the guide feeds for more information and reminders of that. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. And I promise to be back with more.